Thanks for coming. Appreciate you all being here. What I want to do first is talk about the Toledo game and then preview, obviously, a big conference game, Mountain West Conference game, playing it in a short week up at Boise. So a couple things about the Toledo game, and I was real proud of our football team. It was a very good win. It was a good win against a good football team when you looked at the Mid-American Conference and where Toledo was offensively and defensively. Very dynamic quarterback who, really had a really good game against Ohio State the week before. I thought our guys played hard, fought hard, and did a good job there. I think what we saw on Saturday was really a representation of the cornerstones of who we are as a football team. This program is built on mental and physical toughness, and I think we've kept that mental and physical toughness. The tough physicalness that we prepare with as a team. To me, that's what I'm most proud about San Diego State and what San Diego State has become and what the football team has become. I thought the toughness within the situation football. We talk about it, but we live 2 minute every week. And that's important, and it showed in how the offense performed. And so it was really the situational football is something that we're real proud of. The next thing I would talk about is the leadership that we got from our seniors and our upperclassmen, how hard they competed. And that's something that when we went in at halftime, we'd like to obviously do some things better, period. But at the same time, the one thing we talk about is competing for 60 minutes. And I think in all three phases we did that. The drive by the offense at the end, they overcame 2 penalties, which we cannot have. We have to be a better football team than that, and we've got to learn from it. But to perform like that, it just tells you under pressure when it matters. And that's what we try and put our team in during the week, okay? Defensively, really performed well. There was a couple critical penalties that extended some drives. We lined up in the neutral zone, which extended a drive that ended up as a scoring drive. But the one thing we have talked about is defensively, we've got to create turnovers. And we did. We got 4 turnovers in the ball game. The kicking game, really proud of what those teams have done. Our kickoff team had 2 stops inside the 20-yard line. Kickoff return had 2 returns across the 30-yard line, and we're talking about obviously field position. And then Jack had 5 punts. 5 of them that were inside the 20, 3 of them were inside the 10-yard line. And that speaks to what he has done. Then obviously on the 50-yard field goal, that was well done by a whole group of guys. And Jack did a great job with it, believe me. But the snapper and the holder both were excellent. And as we look forward to getting into league play, because we talk about winning championships around here, and that's important. And the one thing, our attitude is going to be everything that we do. We won't blame anyone. We're not going to expect anything from anybody, and we're going to all do our part and do something. So I appreciate you being here, and this is a team that we got to keep executing better and improving.
Coach, you put Jack Browning on scholarship, I believe, on Sunday. Can you just talk about kind of his growth and development in this program and how it's culminated to this point?
Yeah, he just goes out to work. I mean, he's got a great mentality about him, and that's one thing I really respect about him is his work ethic, how he competes, and he just, I think Doug in that relationship has been really, really positive. And he's well respected, and I think you could see that if you saw the video. Really well respected by the guys on this team.
Can you describe what the moment's like when you make that announcement?
You never know. Everybody's going to be pretty happy. That guy's going to be happy, and you feel good as a coach to be able to do that. So, I didn't tell the staff either. And I just told Craig to make sure he had his phone out there so he could video it. But it really was fun. It was something that it just feels good.
Hey Brady, Dirk Cutter takes over calling all the offense. You're going to get ambushed up there, and what do you know about Hursana and what he wants to run?
Well, my brother worked for Dirk at Tampa Bay, and so I called him after they beat Seattle yesterday and asked him what he could tell me. He said, well, he's going to throw the football, so be ready for that. But, he's a good football coach. He's been a good football coach, good coordinator. He's a good guy as far as I know him. The one thing is, the coaches aren't playing. And it's still, this is a player game and still is. So, we got to prepare. I think the one hard part to it a little bit, Hacksaw, is what exactly they're going to do when the quarterback left. What exactly are they going to, what are they going to do offensively? They've got good personnel. Taylon Green is a quarterback who was nationally recruited pretty hard out of Texas, and he big guy, 6'6", and can run. If you go and watch film, watch the run against Oregon State that he had, a scramble of 75 yards. I mean, he's a very talented young man.
Brady, when you look at the lack of offensive production in the passing game in particular, what do you see? Is it offensive line play, wide receiver separation? Is Braxton on time, on target? Where
I think if you would take all those things and put them together, different plays, it's one of those things. It's either the timing, it's either we haven't held the line of scrimmage well enough, in a protection. It's we're not getting off press coverage or the timing, of a route. So it's all those things. And then obviously it's also, the quarterback making good decisions. So when you look at it, and this is the same offense in a lot of ways. Now, we said early in, before the season, this is a different football team. We lost Dan Bellinger, right? Well, he had four catches yesterday. Pretty good football player. We're different. We're different up front. We're young up front. I think we're making improvements. I really believe that. And I think it's also, a team that a year ago was 12-2. Well, there's some factors that aren't there. But we're gonna work like hell for execution. I mean, that's what we have to.
When you said it could be so many of those things on any given play, how do you begin to address that in the passing game when it's a lot of things?
Well, you address it. Number one, you have to address it, right? If you want to get better, you have to address it. So I think what we have done and what our coaches have done, they've done a great job when they've gone out there. We've looked at the things that we got to do better, and we go to work on them. We've got the right people. I can promise you that. And I'm talking about the guys up front. They're young. They're learning. I'll talk about the tight ends. We get Jay Randolph back. That's huge for us.
You've got some proven talented receivers between Matthews and Shavers. What's been the biggest issue in getting the ball to those guys in particular? They have the ability to make big plays.
Well, they do, but again, it would go back to the same thing. I think we threw the ball 24 times last week, and it really probably was closer to 30. because Braxton decided, there was somewhere for him to run to or get out of the pocket. And we just got to keep, protecting better. Got to get off press coverage, because I think one thing people are, because of what they've done, I think people are playing them a little differently. Toledo was interesting because of how they would drive the safeties out of a too high look, how they were driving the safeties. So it was, they were well coached. And the good thing is we responded to it and we countered what they were doing. So I think we were on top of that well.
And maybe one more on that kind of theme. What is the challenge when you approach any particular game when you guys are pretty one-sided offensively right now? You're running the ball to a degree, but really haven't had a passing threat, not consistent.
Well, we need to get consistency there. We need to get execution there. We still are going to be a team that's going to run the football, for various reasons. And that's, why what we've done for, 13 years. And we got to keep, that's part of us.
Brady,
Go ahead.
Braxton is a sixth-year player. I mean, he tasted the Pac-12. He did pretty good in the ACC. He seems to be struggling at this level with everything going on around him in the pocket. What's he struggling with the most? Because he's not efficient at all outside of when he scrambles.
I would say the only thing is he's got to keep his eyes down the field a little bit more. And you can say that about every quarterback, but the one thing I can tell you is we've got to do a better job, and we've got to execute better in all the other areas. You just mentioned he was at the Pac-12, right? He went to the ACC, right, and had a pretty good thing. So it's not just him. It's all of us.
Question about the offensive line. What is the toughest part for the three young guys learning under fire? Is it the physicality of the position? Is it the technique in pass blocking? Is it recognizing what defense is doing with stunts and twists? Because Braxton looks like he's under siege from the minute he leaves the breakfast.
Yeah, I think at times, he is under siege. I believe that. He has been a little bit. But it's all those things you mentioned. When you look at what you're doing offensively, recognition of where your targeting is, recognition of what kind of blitz is it. And for young guys, they struggle at times for it. And the one thing that I'm excited about is, we're making strides. We're a 2-2 football team. Would we like to be 4-0? Yeah, we would. But we played two pretty good Pac-12 teams, I believe. And I think Utah won the Pac-12 a year ago. That's a pretty good football team at their place. Do we accept that? No. We got to play better. But at the same time, this is a different team, different schedule, and we just got to keep working.
Do you think it's more difficult for a quarterback to hang in there that extra second when they can run like he can? Because you can escape.
Right.
So how do you kind of learn that, when to go and when to stay?
Well, I wish I had the answer, but I think he has a, what's the right word I want to use? He has an instinct, that when he feels this, the two runs, obviously, in the 2 minute at the end, that opened up in the middle of the defense, right? And so he feels that. He stepped up. At that time, he was looking down the field, and then he made the decision. It was a good decision, right? And then, obviously, for the last play, second to last play, he took some hits. Now that worries me, but he reminds me not to worry about him because he'll be fine.
Is it good to have a quarterback with a linebacker mentality?
Yeah, I think it is.
Can you speak to that decision on the final?
Hold on. Tom Brady had that mentality. I promise you. At Michigan, he had that same mentality. Now he couldn't run, but
play where I think everyone in the building thinks Braxton's gonna take it himself, right? And then he hands it off to Jordan. I mean, what were you thinking there? Was that out of a timeout, I wanna say?
Yeah.
Or was it a stoppage? So
Yeah.
What are you thinking in that spot offensively?
Well, it was one of those things, and I'll tell you, BCD, Brandon did a great job on that side. I mean, they caved that whole side down, and obviously the running back Bird made a good, cut back to the outside. I mean, it was, we had one timeout left still, and so we had the timeout left. We thought we could at least go, run it, and if not, call the timeout.
Were you pleased with Jordan? Jordan Bird, I don't know if he's ever touched the ball that much. We have to look but 16 carries and then
Yeah.
he's out there on returns. I mean, is that something he's capable of doing potentially week in, week out?
Yeah, I think he is. Yeah, and it was interesting after the game, and for those of you listening to Caden McDonald and what he had to say about Jordan Bird. And Jordan Bird is capable of it because of how he's worked himself, his body, and all those things in the shape that he is and the football IQ that he has. So that allows him to do all those things.
Brady, people always talk about defense is playing a little bit different in those 2-minute scenarios.
Yeah, that's true.
Is there anything that can be gleaned from that drive, or do you look at it as something that kind of happens in the vacuum in one of those types of situations?
Yeah, and that's really, really a good question. I do think that, there is going to be a little bit more, we're going to give you a little bit more, we're going to back up a little bit more, but at the same time, we were at the, 45 or something like that, and with Jack and what Jack had just done earlier in the game with the field goal, a little bit of you as a defensive coach, I want to try and keep you out of field goal range also. So, when Braxton took the ball the first time and got out of the pocket and ran, if I'm the defense coordinator, I'm going to start blitzing because I know Jack's in field goal range.
Does it almost maybe not matter the kind of the situational aspect of it in terms of the player's psyche and maybe that just being a confidence boost, and you don't want to, diminish that at all if they're feeling good about themselves after a drive like that?
Yeah, I like them to feel good about themselves. I like them to earn feeling good about themselves, and they earned it.
With Braxton, I believe the play against Idaho State was not a designed run. Obviously, these situations didn't appear to be designed runs. There have been designed runs. How do you grade the success for when he's just freelancing compared to those designed plays, and has that impacted your play calling at all as the season's gone on?
Yeah, it has. I think it has definitely. When you look what he can give you from that part, if anything, I've been the one probably holding him back a little bit because I want him to stay healthy. I want him to play 14 games. And so I think that's part of it. I do think that, you see what he brings to the table on those scrambles. Now, we want to hit some of those things on designed runs a little bit more. And we had more against Utah. There were a couple more quarterback counters, quarterback power plays, not as many in this past game.
How do you then balance that? Because I know Braxton likes getting his number called in those situations. You want to keep him healthy, but sometimes he seems more effective when something breaks down, he just makes a play.
It's football. He's got instinct, and I'm not going to hold him back. You'd rather, try and hold back a Bronc and, but he's pretty special.
Brady, how are you going to divvy up the snaps at running back based on what Armstead has done and flashes and what we know Bird has done over 3 years in terms of his burst and what the USC kids, how are you doing this?
Well, I think Jeff does a really good job, from the standpoint of feeling through the week. Who's the guy? The one thing, and you mentioned those names, there's a lot there when you look at talent and different kind of talent. Keenan, you get the ball in his hands on the outside or in the throw game, and I believe, he didn't play football for a year. So I think it took a little time for him to get back in his mojo, I guess, but we'll continue. Guy gets a hot hand. The other day, Lee, Jalen got a hot hand, right? I mean, Armstead, he got a hot hand and then he hurts his ankle. He doesn't play another snap. So I'm glad we got those many people, but I would have preferred to see him keep running that ball.
And what is the health status of it, Bell and McMorris?
Both of them, Bell for sure is up, and McMorris will be up. They've cleared him. He just can't have any contact right now, but he's cleared to do everything else in practice.
Will Jalen be good to go as well?
I hope so. I don't feel as positive on that one, Kirk. I hope so.
Jalen Maiden went from playing, I think, 10 defensive snaps
Yeah.
in his life to playing 65 a full game. Did you envision he could be able to do that so quickly?
I'd be lying if I said yes, but he's been into it, and he is constantly, from a standpoint mentally, been into it, he wasn't quarterback anymore. He wanted to stay and he wanted to do it. So I really think, in talking to Kyle during fall camp and all that, Kyle was really excited about the progress that he's been making, and obviously when McMorris is out and then Kyron gets the targeting, it really was great to see him be able to do that. He had maybe 2 plays we'd like to take back, but he did a nice job. I didn't think he'd hit anybody. When we first moved him, I said, this guy, he's a quarterback. He's not going to hit anybody.
On the 50
He'll hit you.
On the 50-yard field goal, you called a timeout, I think presumably to kick with the wind.
Yeah.
Would you have still kicked the 50-yarder if it was going the other way?
Depending on how much Deke felt that before, we always judge it before the game and all that and look at it. And Jack felt good. I mean, Jack would have said, yeah, we can do either way. But if you can get a little bit of an advantage, you might as well take it.
Brady, short work week, new coordinator, new quarterback. How big a challenge is this?
I think it is something that our defensive staff and Kurt, and because believe me, Kurt was here all night, and those guys are figuring it out. I'm trying to help them a little bit. Maybe I get in the way, but they've worked real hard. We've got a couple different things that we'll do that are differently than a normal week, as far as walkthroughs a little bit more, get back on the field a little bit more with the walkthroughs, not as much as the physical stuff, because the kids play the game on Saturday, so we're trying to, you got a couple things you got to balance, and so I think that's what we've done a good job with. You're trying to find out as much information as you can also on what kind of, is it going to be same offense? Is it going to be a little bit, and I think it will be a little bit more quarterback runs. I think it will be a little bit more tempo. I think that's some of what Dirk's done before in his background. I'm sure Andy's going to make sure that everything goes through Dirk, and Dirk will do a good job for him, but we just got to be prepared.
I got one other question. It's about the transfer portal. You've had guys leave, quarterback included. What's the coach's relationship, responsibility to deal with the kid, to try to convince him to stay, or to deal with the parents? We can make this right. Did you get involved deeply with Haskell's family about what the kid was talking about, and because you lost guys last year, Dunkel left to go to the NFL and got cut, and
Yeah, but that's a little different. I think that's a totally different. The NFL, Billy thought he was ready, and may be in some degree. So I think that's different, personally. Now, you may not feel that way, and that's good too. But I think when you look at Will, in his situation, we had conversations, more conversations I had with Will. And Will, at the end of the day, was going to be listening hard to his family, which he should. And like, I think, Hank at the Boise, they both want to play.
Anything else for Coach?
Just could you speak to the significance of this game? Obviously your goal is in the Mountain West and getting off to a right foot, and especially doing it in a place like Boise.
Yeah, I haven't been to Boise since 1992. I was at Oregon State at the time.
What color
So,
was the field then?
huh?
What color was the field then?
It was blue, but it was either 92 or 93. Two of those stick out to me. But I'm excited. I'm excited. I think our kids are excited. You're starting Mountain West play, and so you don't forget the past because you want to learn from it. But it's for us. We get to go up there and play our best football on a Friday night. Who would have thought?